Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today for the weekly update, the AMA session.
Hello, everyone.
I'd like
to be here again. Yeah, sorry.
No, we're always happy to have you, Alex.
All right. Yeah. So long time not been to the AMA, like 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
No, it's always
good to be back.
So we're going to start off by announcing the Ergo Hack winners. That's something that has been happening in the background. We had 2 judges from Alphium, 2 judges from the Flux team. Bruno from the Jet Alliance was also a judge, and then we had a couple of judges on the Ergo side. So I'm happy to announce that the first place winner was City, or CYTI. The second place winner was Ergo Names. The third place winner was Paizo. And we also had a whale bounty for 1,000 SIG USD for the SNISP paper that came out. So those of you that participated, we always appreciate the feedback, the interaction, and we've actually decided to change up the format a little bit this time post-hackathon, where we're going to create a micro summit where the teams that submitted projects, came forward with ideas, afterwards have the opportunity to speak about what they came out with and potential use cases, because good ideas sometimes plug together well with existing frameworks or infrastructure. Sometimes there's additional work needed to actually realize some of the potential, but there was a lot of good content in this hackathon. So I'm really quite proud of the community in terms of what everybody submitted. A lot of neat stuff.
Yeah. Actually, very good hackathon, and a lot of good and topical submissions. So Micro Summit would be pretty well focused. So waiting for it, for the Micro Summit. So any details to be announced about it?
Let's see. I probably need to look in terms of when we're actually planning to start it.
All right. So folks, waiting for announcements, but it will be soon.
TM soon.
TM, yeah. Right. But I believe no longer than a few weeks. So enough time before Christmas, New Year. Orthodox Christmas, Chinese New Year. So all that's long parade of holidays around the globe.
All right. So what's new on your side, Alex? Been a while since you came on here with us.
All right. So the main thing, I guess, is that 5.0 activation will be triggered in 20 days. About that, maybe 18 now even. Something like that. So I did a forum post with details like activation height. So when the voting was started, then it was concluded. And when activation will be triggered. There are a few minor releases since my last appearance, and actually a lot of things going on in regards with EAPs, implementations and so on, but it was covered, I believe, very well in dev updates. And there are some things we will propose for developers also. For example, to organize regular kind of big picture charts to discuss EAPs, protocol development needs from application developers and so on. Yeah, will be announced a little bit later also. All right. During my trip to Dubai, I also made a couple of talks there. One is similar to a video recorded for the summer micro summit, so Ergoversary, not micro, but yeah, summit. Was it micro already? Well, by format, it wasn't big, right? Unlike the Ergo Summit. In regards with the second talk, I will do a video for the Micro Summit, so it will be available to everyone globally. That's more or less it. Development-wise, in regards with what was on my side, that's more or less it in short.
So soon actually went quick. I just heard from both CW and Mark that the Micro Summit is scheduled for Saturday, the 26th, and Sunday, the 27th of November. So, yeah.
So yeah, really soon.
Yeah, really soon. Just too early here for me to remember that off the top of my head. Sorry, guys.
All right.
All right, let's get into some questions. Let's see, what do we got going on? All right, so Augustus Kent said, it seems like the wider market cools off. The quality of development on Ergo is increasing and there's even more enthusiasm. Does this show the long-term health of the Ergo ecosystem to you, Alex?
Sure. Actually, I'm a bit surprised why, enthusiasm is not spiking right sharply. I mean, there is some increase, but I'm hoping for much more actually. Because these days, people need to start challenge, but we say that every time actually, right? So for all the hiccups in the space. And still, I see a lot of shady things going on around, and I hope we will see signs of cool down in regards with shady practices and so on. And then, definitely we will have a lot of developers coming and, developing real things. But not to name it again. All right, yeah.
All right. The next question has to do with off-chain computation. It looks like Christian Davidson is asking, what is off-chain computation? Is this something Ergo is capable of or considering? And what are the benefits and disadvantages of off-chain computation?
Oh, so the usual thing is that in case of off-chain computation, right? So you offload computations, which is good for efficiency, right? And which allows also to do some complex things, which are too costly to do on the chain. You always losing something, right? So there are some assumptions to be introduced, trust assumptions. Aside maybe of some very specific applications. That's in short, but yeah, I mean, there are a lot of schemes here, right, with optimistic execution where you are executing, for example, huge program of chain, and then you can have, in case of incorrect execution, a dispute on chain. But then, yeah, you're introducing, right, some new parties and all that's crypto economic security stuff, which is not always working well. Let's see. Even if it works in theory, not necessarily it will work in practice, as the real world shows, and so on. So yeah, actually, this is a big field, and we have even a group dedicated to layer 2 solutions, and well, some constructions were discussed there, actually, for off-chain computations, like how to split a big script in Ergo scripts to basically then provide the proof of incorrect execution only for part of the script. All right, maybe it makes sense to move something about that on the forum, and yeah, well, implementation wise, I cannot name anything at the moment, but yeah, eventually I think we will see some implementations also.
All right. Next, we have a question from Josh T. He said, what sub-block scaling solutions are being considered?
Oh, all right. So actually, there are a few constructions like NG, Bitcoin NG, Prism, Flux. I mean, the Flux research paper, not the Flux protocol. And yeah, Aspen also. And actually, I think, well, as 5.0 activation is coming, so it would be good to start discussions on 6.0 and, well, sub-block protocols, actually, a good candidate to be considered. So, well, research-wise, in the first place, and then, yeah, it's probably good path towards better scalability and faster confirmation. So it would make sense to implement something in 6.0.
So in terms of like, let's say getting the community and the Ergo Foundation on the same page in terms of a path towards 6.0, what would you like to see that look like?
Oh, so yeah, we need to consider well, applications, right, which will probably arise. It's hard to predict future, right? But yeah, we can make some guesses, and yeah, I think then what optimizations would be good in regards with core protocol, reference clients capabilities, and so on. Maybe EAPs, so some standards. And yeah, so well, there are some principles we need to follow also, like net neutrality. So even before there were some proposals, well, favoring some kinds of applications, our others, and yeah, the core protocol should be net neutral, I guess. But yeah, also optimizations should be well made, right, to well satisfy well most of all of the applications. we might imagine. So yeah, it's well about a lot of trade-offs, and yeah, well, it's sometimes simpler to talk about details, right? But also to consider the broad vision.
I like that. Neutrality towards the DApp layer. I think that's a good discussion for us to have as a community.
Right, and yeah, so the protocol itself, yeah, should be net neutral, and yeah, so from the space, we saw such terrible examples as Terra, right, protocol, Terra Luna, where yeah, application was tightly coupled with the consensus layer, right, so token issuance and so on, and yeah, that's caused at some point well, blockchain stop, right? So validators at some point stopped to generate new blocks, which is probably the worst thing you can see, right?
Yeah,
it's unimaginably bad, let's say.
it's a weird space that's become like Thursday, it's like, oh, well, we shut down the chain for a little bit, everybody take coffee break, and we'll be resuming shortly.
Yeah, then maybe restart or maybe not, so the central committee will decide. Yeah, that's I mean, kind of bad joke, right? But that's the sad reality.
Yeah, it's beyond me. All right, what else do we got? So WK is asking, how is Ergo doing right now in the current situation with FTX? The short answer is we were not invited to the orgies, right? We have no exposure. So
yeah, also, nobody shared drugs with us around Bahamas.
Yeah.
And yeah, so also we were not listed. Actually, we were in talks with FTX staff, but yeah, well, thankfully they were aborted soon because of the requirements and so on. And yeah, I mean, so after this FTX story, so it's hard to talk with centralized exchange representatives. Because well, when they asking well for what they're usually asking for, right? So listing fees, market making requirements, and so on, right? So well, it should be quite opposite, I believe. Instead, we should ask them, do they have reserves, right? So maybe they're just trading thin air. So yeah, I mean, well, this FTX story shows, well, quite obvious thing that centralized exchanges are not necessarily about crypto, right? So you can just trade air on them.
No, it says a lot about the space, the numbers that they were throwing our way, and then the fact that they were white glove listing their own shit projects, and looks like forcing those projects to keep their treasury on their exchange, and ultimately looks like stealing their users' funds and the projects they supposedly were backings fund. It's quite greasy business, and it's quite terrible to see, to be honest.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, so it's not just centralized exchange business. So yeah, right, since 2017, like every exchange is launching its token. Right, and then also, yeah, launching often its own chain, right? Like Binance chain, Huobi chain, and yeah, FTX was closely worked with Solana, right? So basically had a big grab of tokens there. And then yeah, so they also then doing tokens on top of those chains, right? And then yeah, a lot of totally unacceptable things like FTX did, but yeah, that's not about them, just right. So all those practices when exchange is doing also a lot of other things, and well with a lot of possible consequences, right?
It's
Yeah, so
insane.
it's everywhere basically.
Yeah, no, it's completely insane to be like, I run an exchange and I also have my own pseudo decentralized proprietary blockchain. And I also run market making. And it's like, this is sketchy as hell. I mean, what is even happening? It's decentralized.
Yeah,
Pathetic.
so you're also launching tokens, right? Getting a big chunk of projects launched on your chain, and then you dump tokens of those blockchain projects on your very trusted exchange and so on. So yeah, I mean it's totally insane space. Those centralized exchanges and related simulations of blockchains and decentralized finance.
Decentralized.
Right, yeah.
Oof. All right. So next question. There has been some chatter from BTC maxis trying to pivot and distance themselves from crypto after recent events. What are your thoughts on that? It's the pivot, the rebrand. You know, I think if you look at the amount of trading volume that Bitcoin has, if you add crypto pairs and you add stablecoin pairs, it's a pretty stupid pivot. Like, we have nothing to do with everything else. And then you look at where a large amount of their volume actually comes from. You know, if they wanted to rotate away from all of that volume, I think you would find a negative correlation in terms of where Bitcoin is, right? It's a part of, you know, it's kind of like a reserve currency in crypto space. So I think it's silly, but Bitcoin has a tendency to try to rebrand to the moment and tends to fail over and over. You know, where the, you know, nation states are going to adopt us, store value against inflation. You know, you can go back and they'll kind of come up with this sexy title and push it until it fails and then rebrand. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, well, it's pretty kind of information-based money, right? So, Bitcoin as well as other proof of work cryptocurrencies, right? But Bitcoin is very pure in this regard because there are no any economy basically on top of it, right? On-chain economy, I mean. So then, the community there is trying to find any agenda, right, to push outside and then to have a price increased. Actually, a lot of very skilled and very smart people in those Bitcoin circles. Yeah, I had a lot of conversations with BTC maxis, but also most of the community is driven by greed anyway, right? We need to admit that also.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some good ideas actually. If you look at the research that, you know, people put out, the difficulty is it never goes anywhere. But actually, a lot of it may line up with what we're trying to do.
All right, yeah. So, any more questions?
Sure. What is Alex's main priority right now in terms of development? What is he excited about?
All right. So, yeah, currently I'm reviewing a lot of codes made by others, right? So, yeah, in next version, finally, additional indexes will be included. So then, for many applications, it would be possible to avoid dependency on Explorer instance, right, which is centralizing actually many applications and wallets. Yeah, so with 5.0 activation coming, I'm going back to deliver bootstrapping with UTXO set snapshot and then Nipopos, right? So, well, there is a lot of code already done, but yeah, also a lot to be written. And then, yeah, so 6.0 discussions will be started. So we need, I believe, to outline some specification APIs and then, yeah, work towards that. And yeah, also open question to be decided after most of the spec done, I guess, is how to activate it. So as usually, a soft fork is preferable, but yeah, it depends. Well, let's see. So maybe we can have some community chats on the way about that, about 6.0 and what's to be included there.
All right, next question for you. Why is ErgoScript based off of Scala, and what are the advantages that you saw over something like Solidity or Rust?
Oh, so I don't know. Actually, it's a front-end language, so you can do some Rust-like language or Python, right? So, well, initially, first contracts were done just in Ergo trees. So we made basically syntax trees manually. But then Morphic did Ergo script, yeah, which syntax is resembling Scala, but other options are possible. So for Ethereum, in early days, there were competitors to Solidity, such as Viper, for example. But yeah, only Solidity survived for some reasons. I actually, yeah, forgotten them, but yeah, maybe just better support, better maintenance. As for Ethereum clients, it was the case for Ethereum clients. Only one client survived in the long term.
Next question from Cardano Proxies NFT. NFTs are in the present one of the blockchain utilities that bring the most attention and engagement. What is the Ergo leader's attitude towards this movement? Start with you, Alex. What do you think about NFTs?
I don't know. Maybe that's for you. So yeah,
Sure.
I'm buying sometimes some stuff, but yeah, hard to say why actually. And
no, you know what? NFTs have done a really good.
I'm not quite following NFT space, to be honest.
Yeah, I have to be honest in terms of like my ability to track things. I can't say that I necessarily follow or know what's happening. But that's a bandwidth issue more than anything. You know, NFTs in the broader sense, I think have been pretty good in terms of at least introducing the general public to, you know, the concept of crypto, the concept of self-custody. You know, it's acted as a nice bridge into the space. Sometimes there's some, like on the macro sense, sometimes there's some, you know, insanity. You know, in terms of like, I think normal people will kind of scratch their head and not understand like what the hell is happening with, Crypto Ape Yacht Club and Dick Butt and whatever other stuff. But in a broad sense, I think it does good in terms of like social engagement and education and community. And it's nice to see, in terms of, let's say my general attitude is, if you're going to create something, put your passion into it, do it with quality and try to, make it mean something to you. Right. I think that's what people appreciate. When you get into some of the weird stuff in the space, there's, I heard some people get rug pulled on an NFT, and I kind of scratched my head saying, "What is even happening?" But I don't really have the bandwidth to track everything, and that is more like social, cultural. Stuff, and I can't say that off chain. I always understand that anyway. So have fun and try to do quality work. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So I think NFTs are a very natural application on the blockchain, right? Because it's basically collectibles, so financial instruments, and financial instruments are what blockchain is intended for, I guess. After all, grassroots driven financial instruments. That's basically it.
All right, Alex, I like this question for you. What would have to happen to the project that you would consider it as failed? What do you not want to see happen to Ergo, or in terms of how it grows or morphs, or what it tries to become?
Oh, failed. I don't know. So I guess that's Terra was failed when blockchain was stopped, right? Was it restarted even? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, that's definitely failed, right? So failed project is actually a lot of stable coins which last peg, right? So when there is some goal for the protocol, and well, it's broken, right? For a long time, then it's definitely failed. What else? When we have DEX, right, with no volume for a long time, then it's also failed, right? So if goals are not met, then well, for blockchain itself, right, it's not so easy. So there are a lot of cryptocurrencies which probably could be considered as failed, but still they're living, right, since 2012 and so on. I'm not going to call names, but actually, there are a lot of such cryptocurrencies, right, still alive. But there is not much life, right, there, but still somehow
Zombie.
So somehow they're still doing something. So if a stable coin from 2014, right, has its peg broken since 2018, then it's definitely failed, right?
Yep.
And that's Luna, which peg is broken for many months, is also failed, definitely, because there is no chance, right, to see the peg being restored.
Yeah. I think that also like on my perspective, I would see Ergo as not Ergo in some sense. Like if it were to try to go towards censorship, I wouldn't want to be a part of the project in a certain sense. But that's more like a personal choice in terms of what I would try to support.
Oh, yeah. I mean, probably then we can talk about Ethereum, right? So, as now, there are talks around about OFAC compliance of the whole chain, or whether Ethereum validators will censor FTX hacker transactions and so on, right? So can we say that Ethereum is failed, right? I'm not sure. I mean, well, in case of Bitcoin, well, censorship, and in case of Ergo, right, censorship is essentially a failure. But in case of Ethereum, did they ever had a goal to be censorship resistant?
From the community, I guess that's a split. I mean, I know there are some that are saying, maybe we should try to slash validators that are running, basically OFAC compliant blocks. And I think at this point, it's kind of a super majority to where if they did ever try to fork and be something that is like fully compliant, they have the network power too. And the reality is, all of the centralized DeFi protocols that are like, USDC, they're not going to go with a uncensored chain. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I don't know if that's ever actually been like a goal of theirs to actually be a open, decentralized network, or if they want to be a permissioned
right, but actually, splits there happened a long time ago, right, with Ethereum Classic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, how to say? Because also, cryptocurrency's goal usually is about to preserve its monetary system, right? And in case of Ethereum, so with the merge, it's essentially broken, right? It's now run on a totally different basis, right? So, but was that the goal again for Ethereum to be sound money after all?
I have no idea.
What was the goal to be censorship resistant? So they had initially ideas, as far as I remember, to be a vault computer with code as law, right? But that was broken also.
Yeah,
that got broken around ETC split, the Dell hack resolution.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm surprised there isn't more kickback, to be honest. But
so yeah, I mean, basically that's the question: can you fail if you do not have any goals, right? Maybe not even.
Yeah, I guess that's the case. Best way to insulate yourself from failure, everyone, is just have no goals, and then you can't fail.
Yeah. All right, so I have for like 5 minutes more. Sorry.
All right, I got another question.
After. Yeah, so last question maybe.
All right, so
maybe for you now.
Oh no, this is for you, buddy. I'll answer a couple after you leave. Alex, we've heard you discuss Merkleized finite state machines. What are they, and what do they do?
Yeah, actually, a lot of questions about that, right? I don't know, maybe from the same person, but still. Actually, there is code for Merkleized finite state machines, and I can do forum post because the code is done. So it was around 2018, and the code is done in form of syntax trees, I guess. So basically it's kind of generalized concepts on top of Merkleized abstract syntax trees, right? But finite state machines is a more powerful concept because you can have loops then in your execution trace. Basically, the idea is that initially you have just a hash on the chain, right, for the whole program. And when a program is being executed, so basically you are revealing a part of program just which is being executed, right? And then you are providing a new hash, right? And the new hash is committed since the initial transaction, right? So the whole transaction is fixed at the beginning, and then there is no chance to cheat here, right? And so you reveal the program piece by piece, right? And if you are not executing all the possible traces, then some parts of the program could be hidden, right? After reaching the final state. That means, in particular, you can have somewhat privacy, right? More privacy. So, for example, only in case of disputes, right? Abnormal execution. So you can reveal certain information about the program. And if it runs normally, then you are not revealing, for example, parties which are involved into the contract. So only in case of abnormal execution, in case of a dispute, information about parties involved got revealed. That's the case with Merkleist abstract syntax trees also, but yeah, as far as I know, there is no any implementation on Bitcoin. Maybe some soft or probably soft fork required, but yeah, I don't really know. I'm not following this topic for years. In regards with Bitcoin, and in case of Ergo, so it's fully supported from the chain, and actually a lot of applications, and in case of Ergo, it's also more powerful because again, you can have loops in your execution trace, so it's more powerful than Merkleist abstract syntax trees. And so I will do a forum post. Actually, I have a plan of writings to be published. I'm slowly publishing stuff like decentralized grids, right? I even made some implementation to show grids are realistic. On top of grids, basically, we can do other kinds of smart orders for fundraising, right, and other applications. So it's not just about trading, but could be useful for fundraising and so on. There are other. I did chain cache forum posts. We'll jump on the thread soon to see feedback. Yeah, I'm very sorry. It's hard to track everything. And then I will do some more writings, including Merkleist finite state machines eventually. All right.
All right.
And have a good day.
Thanks for coming, buddy.
Yeah, maybe. So a good part of the day, everyone. Okay. And see ya maybe in 1 week.
All right.
All right. And we will have more community chats, I believe, right? Maybe even next Tuesday. So see you around there in text form. All right. Bye.
All right. So it looks like the next question that we have is from Sigma Knot. How could we make sure that hard facts and full transparency attract more people than fancy buzzwords and good marketing? I think it would be good in this space to really pick things apart. It's on one hand, it's education, right? There's a ton of buzzword terms that people just end up throwing out like it's word salad, right? There's a ton of word salad in this space to where, you get a bunch of popular words and it's, we're decentralized NFT DAO governance token running on a trustless layer 4. And then, people just get buried by that kind of nonsense. So I think one way to do that is to try to go through various aspects of what is buzzwordy and try to get the general audience, general public to understand it piece by piece, right? Because or ideally words have meaning, right? And so marketing has a certain meaning to where if you see something and they use a bunch of fancy terms, you understand what those are. A lot of the times new people come into the space, they get buried, and I'm just going to say there's a certain vulnerability there, and there are people that try to take advantage of that. It's like saying open source is a spectrum. It is true that like licensing can be a spectrum, but either you can see code or you can't. There really is no middle. You can say, okay, what's the difference between decentralized and distributed, and what are the characteristics that you need to look at in terms of both. The fancy buzzword word salad stuff in this space really dilutes the meaning, and ideally this is an industry that, in my opinion, should be built on very clear principles, right? And very clear principles ideally have things that are built with meaning that reflects those principles. So personally, I like to start from kind of the basic principles of crypto. You can read the Ergo Manifesto that does kind of outline what the goal of Ergo is, and then try to go through and let's say pick apart fancy buzzwords, because a lot of it I would say in this space does not really live up to meaning, and if it doesn't really mean anything, it doesn't really mean anything. Sad, but it's just true. So when you see that word salad nonsense in this space, take a step back rather than, I don't know, ape into it. I guess that's what it's designed for. We do have a video here from Dan. You can see with his very happy looking face right here. So Andy, why don't we play Dan's video from us and see what he has to say.
Hey guys, it's Dan, usually from Japan, but today I am in, sometimes sunny, sometimes warm. Not the past few days, but I've heard that it does get like this. Istanbul, Turkey. There it is behind me. You can see some of it. And I've been here for the Istanbul Blockchain Week for the past several days. And I must say that it's actually been a great eye-opening experience to the size of the blockchain and crypto community in Turkey, the size of the activity of the community in Turkey. There's a lot of great devs here. There's a lot of awesome projects happening. And I have been trying to basically make inroads into the Turkish community because it is just so robust for Ergo to connect with devs, to connect with projects, and just to kind of get more interest in Ergo from the Turkish community. The reception has been very, very good. I made several very, very interesting connections. I think that there is a great potential here for us as Ergo to be able to work with the local community and really kind of get a presence going here. So I have been connected to several large dev groups, several really promising projects. I'll be talking to them and have been talking to them about utilizing Ergo and entering the Ergo ecosystem. Again, received really, really well. They're really interested in Ergo. And we actually already do have some Ergonauts here in Turkey. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet them this time. But with the level of activity and with what I've seen, I will most definitely be back very soon with a much more step two type of plan to integrate as many from this community as possible into the Ergo ecosystem. So really exciting stuff. I have also made several connections with tier ones. Not that it has specifically is specifically connected to Turkey, but within the same amount of time, I have made inroads with another tier one exchange. Really prominent, a really good one, and I'm currently working with them to basically start the process for listing us. Again, I'll have more information on that as the story develops. So the next thing I've also been really concentrating on, as I have been for the past several months, is the education program, the Ergo-centric education program that we've been working with with a Thai university. Again, all of this is coming next month. Just to I know that a lot of you are also Cardano people in the community, and you'll be joining one of the summits either in person or remotely. So some of the educators that we're working with are actually going to be speaking at the Thai Cardano Summit. And the Thai Cardano Summit will be streamed. So if you're interested in checking out some of the people we've been working with, please do so. Please check out the Thai Cardano Summit stream. And just to let everybody know, Ergo has not been affected by the FTX stupidity. That's because of the way our ecosystem is built. We're built fundamentals and development and ethics first. And that's what it takes to survive something like this. And we'll keep surviving, whatever happens. I've been very vocal about this on social media, and I would like to reiterate it once again, that no matter what happens to any of these centralized conglomerate juggernauts that think they own the industry, we'll still be here because we're decentralized, because we understand what our mission is, or we understand what our goals are, and we are still staying true to our fundamentals. And so last but not least, I have also been working and continued work on the ecosystem and a dev partnership initiative. Again, I will have more details about that as things are finalized. But very exciting stuff. I believe this is going to be an amazing boost for the ecosystem once it goes through. And I'm excited to let you know more about this as things finalize and as we have a clearer picture of what we're going to be doing with the fund. Okay, everyone, thanks again for tuning in. I'm sorry I couldn't be there live this week. I will try my best to be there next week, although I'll still be traveling. All right, and now back to you, Joe, at the studio.
All right, it looks like Dan either froze or finished. I think he's done. I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their life to spend time with us, ask questions, hopefully learn a little bit. We do this every week. We also have a developer update that comes out every Sunday that kind of covers the community and what things are kind of being worked on, what's in the pipeline, all that good stuff. So look forward to covering that. And I'll see you next week, everybody. Have a good one.